All right, so it's 6 o'clock. We can go ahead and get started. So first of all, thank you guys for joining us um, for this AMA session. Thank you to Dr. Roma and Dr. Himmel for volunteering their time right now to help answer your guys' questions. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Sami, Jilla. I'm the Academic Relations Manager with Aspen Dental Management. And Aspen Dental Management is the organization that supports all of the Aspen dental practices across the country. And these Aspen dental practices are each individually owned by a practicing dentist. But if you look on the screen, you'll see here, aspendentalce.com/welcome. Aspen is offering free CE, during these rough times through, this pandemic. They've offered free CE for anybody that's in the dental industry. It's completely credited, so feel free to use that, share it amongst your friends and your colleagues. But without further ado, we'll introduce our docs. Dr. Roma, do you want to go ahead and start? Oh, Dr. Roma, I think you're on mute.
I clearly don't use Zoom. So.
It's all right.
All right, I'm Dr. Patel. I'm practicing a little bit outside of Savannah, Georgia. I've been with Aspen since 2015, and I currently do own my practice. And I went to school in Georgia at the Medical College of Georgia.
Great. And how long have you been with Aspen?
Since 2015, so about 5 years.
Okay. Dr. Himmel, can you give us just a short introduction?
Yep, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Himmel. I went to dental school at Howard University and then in Washington, D.C., and then I did residency at Rutgers University. And I have been with the company since 2019. I opened up as an MCD outside of Columbia in Camden, South Carolina. And we are in the stages of owning my own practice in Camden.
Awesome, exciting. All right, so just so you guys know, again, at the bottom of the screen, you guys can submit your questions. It'll say Q&A. You click on that and you can just submit it anonymously if you like. But some of you actually did submit some questions ahead of time. After you registered, you got an email. And I think probably the best question to go with so far is, what options did you look into coming out of school? And then why did you end up choosing Aspen? Dr. Roma, do you want to start off with that one?
Yeah. So honestly, I chose Aspen because at that time it was just more convenient. And I hate to say that. It was very convenient and they were hiring. And I honestly was thinking about staying with Aspen just for a year or so and then switching to private practice. But once I started working with Aspen, I fell in love with the company and how everything worked and the motto, and how the model is so easy for me because I didn't have any business background. Even if you took those stupid business classes in dental school, there were nothing. So for me, that was really, really easy, just going in there, learning dentistry and trying to, hone in on my skills. And then ended up just sticking with them because I really, really enjoyed being with Aspen.
Great. What options did you look into coming out of school? Was it just Aspen or did you have other options?
Well, I was another DSO I was looking at.
Okay. And then Dr. Himmel, why did you end up choosing Aspen?
Okay, so I looked at everything. I looked at every DSO under the roof. And my dad's actually a dentist too, and he's in private practice. My brother's also a dentist. He's actually a dental anesthesiologist, and he's in private practice. Before dental school and in between grad school, I worked for my dad for a year. And I saw that he was married to his practice. And I knew a lot about business because I ran his practice for a year for him before going into dental school. But I knew exactly what I wanted and what I didn't want. And so I knew that I wanted to look in and try a DSO before, maybe committing to private practice. Well, what landed up happening is I looked at every DSO and I loved how Aspen treated me. How Aspen treated me, they took me out to dinner, just in general, even how they work. It's all about promoting the other dentists that you're working with as well. In other DSOs, they get paid based off of the production that you do. So, the lead dentist would be doing the more expensive cases, whereas the associate dentist would be just doing fillings all day, but they're getting paid on fillings. Whereas in Aspen, we're getting paid based on both of how we're working. And so that team building in that community, I loved. And just continuing that and how they treated me is why I chose Aspen.
Great. That's a great answer. But somebody just asked, what does your dad think about you joining a DSO, Dr. Himmel?
Okay. So he's one of the most supportive people that you will ever meet. I think that I was very fortunate with that. I think realistically, looking at the trends and how corporate dentistry is going, he's realistic in noticing that, you know, this is how the trend of dentistry is. When he was in dental school was, you know, he paid for dental school by working at the Giants Stadium pouring beer. That's not the situation anymore. And that's just the reality of it. So opening his practice 35, 40 years ago was much easier for him. You know, I'm in a fortunate position where, yes, I could have taken over his practice, but my brother, you know, is doing that. But I'm honestly right now trying to get him to come onto the corporate team just because the way of life is so much better and easier. And I don't have the constant headaches of, oh, not only do we have to think about the dentistry and the billing of dentistry, but also being a small business owner, paying the electric bills, paying if something goes wrong in your building. That can be a big headache. And, you know, as he's aging and he's getting older, he's thinking, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. But in general, looking at the trend of how dentistry is, I mean, realistically, it's going towards corporate. So I could either just work for corporate or I could be part of the owners of corporate. And that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And yeah, it requires a lot more than clinical ability to run a practice. That's for sure. So Dr. Roma, this is kind of for you. You know, what did your friends and family think of like you going to a DSO? Because I know going from the Dental College of Georgia, DSOs can kind of be frowned upon in the South.
Yeah, so honestly, my family doesn't really, I'm the first person to go to medicine in my family, so I guess they really don't know what I'm doing. But all my classmates, you know, at first I was like, you know, they'd be like, where are you practicing? And I'd be kind of afraid to tell them I'm working for Aspen just because it is so negatively looked down upon at our school. And the funny thing is it comes from the professors who are retired, ex-military, this and that, the other, and it just trickles down, but they've never experienced DSO. Like they've never actually physically worked in Aspen practice. So for me, I had to explain to them and let them know, like, listen, I never trained at an Aspen Dental School. I went to the same school that you guys did. We're all colleagues. We train the same way. So whether you work in private practice or you're working at Aspen, the type of dentistry you're doing is what you were taught in school. And if you have a bunch of crappy dentistry coming out of Aspen, I guarantee there's a crappy dentistry coming out of private practice. You just don't hear about it because we're all taught and trained the same way, you know, and it's unfortunate because we do have a bigger name that we hear about it more, but I just had to kind of, you know, have thick skin and kind of let them know, like, listen, we went to the same school, so I'm practicing the same way you're practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a good little icebreaker. Why did you go into dentistry? Dr. Himmler, you want to take that one first?
Well, I think it was kind of like I liked what my dad was doing. And then I was fortunate that I actually do love what I do. I think that it could have gone very wrong for me, just kind of going into the family business and not liking it. But I was actually very fortunate that I do love my profession. But that's really what it was. I just did what my dad and my brother did.
Yeah, that's great. Dr. Roma, you're the first person to get your doctorate in your family, right? So
I am. Honestly, I knew from high school that I wanted to be a dentist because I got made fun of my teeth really bad in high school. And it's really sad, I know, but I am where I am now because of that one idiot that made fun of me. But it really was a confidence booster for me once I got my braces and everything was, you know, way it should be. And it sounds cliche, I know, but it really did personally affect me, you know, and I wouldn't smile. Like in my senior pictures, my mouth was closed just because this one person told me that I had a really bad smile and that I needed to get my teeth fixed. and really made me realize that how much I can impact someone, emotionally and, physically. So that's why I decided that I was going to be in dentistry.
Awesome. That's great. So another question here, what advice would you give to a dental student to be prepared coming out of dental school? Dr. Roma, you want to take that one first?
Yeah. It's really scary because you have really no idea. You're used to seeing 2 or 3 patients a day in clinic, and then you're out here and you're just take it easy. And honestly, it will come. For me, I think I was so scared and so nervous. I remember the first day as an associate that I went and I did a filling. And after I had prepped the tooth, I asked my lead dentist, like, did you want to check the prep? And she's like, no, like, I'm not going to check your prep for you, but you just have to have confidence in what you know. And sometimes it does take a while for you to build your speed and to become very comfortable in a setting that's different than what you're used to, but it all comes. I mean, we've all been through it and all of us have successfully moved past that phase. And I just think it's just knowing that you'll learn so much more once you're starting practice.
Great. And then Dr. Himmler, do you want to add anything onto that in terms of advice?
I think she hit it right on the head.
Okay. Okay, this one is more geared towards like onboarding. So what was your transition coming from your previous setting to Aspen? Dr. Himmler, you want to go first?
Okay, so I went from dental school and then I did residency. And while I was in residency, I had already decided that I was going to work with Aspen. So they set me up with an owner doctor who is out of Greenville, South Carolina. And she kind of took me under her wing because I was hired on as a lead. So I wasn't going into an associate position. I was going straight to lead. And she had, 6 weeks before we opened a practice to really ingrain in me the values and core beliefs of the company. And she just hit it out of the water. And that's kind of what I also love about Aspen is that they set you up for success. They want you to be successful and they're going to give you the tools that you need to be successful. They didn't just leave me out to dry or just said, go do this. They gave me everything I needed. So that was my transition.
Great. And then Dr. Roma, how was your transition from school to?
It was the same. I got paired with the owner dentist and, she trained me. It was a 4-week training program and you get like a binder this thick. But, when you look through that, it is so meticulous, like Dr. Himmel said, they set you up for success. They don't want you to fail. So, it's basically someone holding my hand, but also giving me the autonomy to practice the way I want to, but also being there as a mentor. And the great thing about Aspen is you have a mentor no matter where you are. So if I wanted to pick up the phone and Dr. Himmel is like, in a different state from me, but if I had a question about a case or something, I can call her and it's like this giant network of mentors and it's awesome. You don't necessarily have to have someone in your office to help you.
Yeah, great. And just to add on to that, when she says the network, like all of these dentists are in the same network in terms of they all work for the same under the same name, Aspen Dental, but they're in their own practices with their owners and whatnot, but they have the ability to work together. But somebody here is asking, what is managing clinical director? And I think it'd probably be good to just explain like what it takes to be an MCD or a lead dentist is what is a fancy term for it. Dr. Himmel, do you want to take that?
Right. So under my roles and responsibilities, I have an associate doctor, but essentially I am a lead. And so everything goes through me. So, when there's an issue in the office, not only clinically, but they're coming to me outside to get basically the answer. So in order to be a lead, I think that you just have to have a certain personality and a little bit of a stronger clinical background right off the bat. But associates go very easily into transitioning into that managing clinical director. You'll also have a mentee or a mentor under you, which I have one, and I love her. And she, honestly, probably could have been a lead right off the bat too. And really, it's just about what you know clinically. And then additionally, a little bit of that leadership position in So I'm basically the boss. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay. Dr. Roma, do you want to add anything onto that?
She explained it well, but I think the other thing too is, when you're in a practice and you have a team of 10, or I have a staff of 14, they're looking for someone to go to when there's something that goes wrong. They need someone, in fact, Dr. Himmler said, you need a leader. And I think that's what the MCD does. I'm not going to sit here and dictate how my associate does his dentistry. But for me, I'm managing the time and the flow of the office. I'm managing the staff up front. So it does take a little bit more to be, the MCD or the lead dentist. But I think that, like she said, you're basically the boss. You're running the practice, making sure everything is going well from the front, to the back. So I think it's a lot of responsibility, but it's your practice. So at that point, you enjoy doing it.
Yeah. There's another question here that's asking, how fast can you be promoted to an MCD? Dr. Himmel, I know you came in straight as an MCD. Dr. Roma case was, but do you want to address that?
So I actually was hired as an associate. I was an associate for 4 months, and then I ended up having to move. So I moved to Savannah, and at that time I was still hired as an associate, but 2 months later I found out I was getting promoted to MCD because the MCD was leaving in my practice. So I don't necessarily think it's because of my skills and, how I was performing. I think it was just an opportunity came up, and I think it was a great opportunity because a year later I became owner of the practice. So honestly, I think that if you work hard and you show that you can run a practice, you will be able to definitely move when you can. Granted that there's opportunity for you to move, and it may not be in that same office, it may not be in that practice. You can, always move into a different location. They'll find somewhere for you to grow.
Yeah, great. I just want to take a quick second. I know some people just got on, but at the bottom of the screen, you'll see where it says Q&A. If you click on that, you guys can submit your questions. You guys are asking some great ones, by the way. The next question here this is a great one, especially for two new moms here. How would you rate your work-life balance? Dr. Himmel, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think that that's all in your control, in your hands. And that's kind of what I love about my position is I work 7:30 to 5, except for on Fridays. That's when I work 7:30 to 1. And for the most part, I say I want to be out the door at 5 o'clock, and that's what happens because I'm sorry, I have a 5-month-old baby. Like, he's priority, and that's just is what it is. So everyone's going to be in control of their work-life balance. And I think that if you are the person that is going to chronically work, you're always going to chronically work. But if you're the person that's like, no, I got to be home at 5, I will work as hard as I can until 5. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I will work as hard as I can, but at 5 o'clock, goodbye.
Dr. Roma, how is it for you? How's your work-life balance?
It's actually really good. I have a 1-month-old, so right now I'm on maternity leave, which is awesome. But the great thing about that is, and I think it goes back to what Dr. Himmel was saying, I have not been bothered by anyone in my office for over a month. And it's because management is taking care of everything for me. I'm not worried about the little things. No one's sitting here bothering me because I'm on maternity leave. So they are handling, which is so nice, working for a DSO, is that you have this management company that kind of takes the stress off of you. So everything Dr. Himmel said is correct. You are in control of it. But the other aspect too is if there is something you need, management is there to help you out. So you're not dealing with things after hours. You're not bringing it home with you. So once you're home, you're home. I don't get, of course, being an owner, you have a little bit more responsibility. But in the grand scheme of things, everything is taken care of. Once I walk through that door and there's an issue, I let management handle it. I'm not worried about it. So I think my work-life balance is great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congrats again. Another good question here is mentorship important to you? And if so, how did that play into your decision to choose Aspen? Dr. Himmel?
Mentorship is really important to me. And so I have a mentor, as well as I just finished the program yesterday to start mentoring other doctors in addition to my associate. So, and they take it seriously. It's not just like you're set up with any old doctor. The doctor that is mentoring, they have a whole curriculum that they're setting up so that they can be successful in mentoring you. You know, being such a large organization, you're worried that, oh, what if I don't like my mentee or my mentor? I think that they really try to pair you perfectly together. And then they also give you, again, the tools. Like when you have such a large company, they really do their homework in terms of what works and what doesn't work. And it's kind of like a science, and they've really figured out those key aspects.
That's great. And then Dr. Roma, how about you? How is mentorship?
It's extremely important to me because coming right out of school and trying to learn how to practice dentistry, it's scary. And if there's no one there to help you, I mean, even now practicing for 5 years, I'm still calling and texting everyone that I can to get help. I just recently started placing implants, for example, which, you know, Aspen allowed me to do. They took me through the courses and I was able to do that. But now we have someone dedicated and designated just for implant help. So I can literally pick up the phone and get Dr. Sandeep on the phone and say, hey, listen, I have this case. I really need help. Never met the guy, but he's going to help me because he is my mentor, you know? And so it's awesome. Like Dr. Himmler was saying, they have all the resources there for you. You just got to utilize everything.
That's great. Another good question here. What does a new dentist find frustrating? Since you guys are both, you know, dealing with associates, Dr. Himmler, you want to take that one first?
Well, I honestly think that I have a dynamite associate, and she takes everything like on the chin, and she's awesome. I mean, right now we're just waiting for some of the insurances to push through so that she could do more, really. And she just is craving more, but that'll come right out of the back. I think the biggest thing that new dentists struggle with a little bit is time management. And so, you know, you don't have all morning to do a root canal. In real life, you need the chair and you need to be done in about an hour. So I think that, you know, having that mentor, though, really guides you and teaching you how to, you know, work towards your strengths and how to focus on your weaknesses and diminish them. I mean, that's really what I have to say about that. It's really just time management, I think, that new dentists struggle with. Yeah.
And then Dr. Roma?
Yeah, I would agree. I've had several associates, not because they were bad, but because they've been, you know, and promoted to MCD at different offices, so I've been losing them. But, you know, I've seen a few things. So time management, I think, is the biggest thing, which I get it. I was in the same position, you know, coming out, you're scared, you're going extra slow because you don't want to remove a 0.01 millimeter of dentin on here and there. But the other thing too, I think, is learning to take constructive criticism. I've seen some that get very easily offended and defensive. It's not that, you know, like we're all mentors here. We're trying to make everyone successful. But if you can't take the critique and criticism from someone who is trying to help you, I think that was the other issue that I've had with some other dentists that they just don't like me, you know, telling them, giving them critique and criticism. I think that that's another thing that you got to work on. The other thing too is some of them are too eager to do too much, too quick. I think that there's a way to kind of work on your skills, you know, starting with the basics and then kind of going up to surgery and implants and things like that. But I think being eager is great, but I think you've got to be able to know how, when it's the right time to do it.
Yeah, so finding that good balance.
Yep.
Okay, this question was just submitted. How much control do you have over hiring or firing staff? Dr. Roma, you want to take that one first?
I have full control over it. I mean, here's the thing. So management does a great job of finding me the good candidates. They're weeding out all the ones that they don't feel are going to fit for my office. They're bringing in and kind of reviewing the resumes of the candidates that I think are going to fit in my office. And then I sit down and I actually interview all of them. And then they ask me for my input. What do you think? Do you think this is a good candidate? Do you like this person? And I actually make the final call.
And Dr. Himmel, same for you.
Even as an MCD, I'm not owner, but as an MCD, I have 100% control.
Great. Another autonomy question. How much autonomy do you have over treatment plans?
100% autonomy. You sign in your contract. Sorry, I just started it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Honestly, take it.
But in your contract, it very specifically says that you own your treatment plans. I do not overdiagnose, because let's be real, like in corporate dentistry, it's been labeled as evil, right? But in the reality, especially with Aspen, you have 100% control of what you are doing and what you are treatment planning and what I am doing and what I'm not doing. And that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, because essentially, I mean, it's your license that's on the line.
Exactly. And
Right?
they're very big advocates of this is your license.
Right, absolutely. Dr. Roma, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No, I agree with Dr. Himmel. But the other thing too is if I have an associate in the office, going back to what she said is we're all working out of one patient pool. We're not like stealing other people's patients just because there's more dentistry. We're not paid based on your production. But, if my associate ends up getting a patient of mine that they don't feel comfortable in doing the treatment that I planned, I'm not going to force them to do that treatment. They are more than welcome to change the treatment and have a clinical judgment on what they feel comfortable in doing. So that's the other thing too, is I'm not going to push my treatment plan on other doctors either. But yeah, she's right. I mean, it's my treatment plan. I do exactly what I want to do on the patient.
Yeah, great answers, guys. Another question here, it's actually going based off of what you just said, Dr. Roma, about you're not paid on production. Somebody's asking, how are you paid? So Dr. Roma, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So at the end of the month, we go based off of how much the office produced as a whole. Now, as an MCD and as an associate, you'll get different amounts of what they call profit share. And that goes off of what we call a patient satisfaction score. So every new patient that comes through your office gets a survey, and they get scored 1 through 5, 5 being the highest. So depending on that average, you get a certain percentage of profit share from the same pool of production that both you and your other doctor did.
Dr. Himmel, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No, she hit it exactly right.
Yeah, honestly, that was like the most mind-blowing thing to me when I first heard that. Like the fact you're paid on how happy your patient is, or how, like, that's amazing. And the fact that it encourages everyone from the front desk to the dentist to the surgeon to make sure you're doing right by the patient, and that incentivizes everybody to work together. Because I mean, you often hear in private practice, you're only paid off of your chair and what you perform, but you're actually, benefiting from what everybody's doing. And it allows you as the dentist coming on as an associate to grow and practice and do more advanced cases. I thought that was amazing and super cool. I've never seen that before. Another question here. What do you enjoy most about working for Aspen? And then also, what do you enjoy least? Dr. Roma, you want to take that one first?
Honestly, what I enjoy the most is just having friends everywhere I go. I mean, honestly, it's so awesome. Aspen, they make doctors the top priority of everything they do. And so, if we have our manager or the directors coming down, they take us out for dinner, they treat us, they make us feel like we are very special. And I like that and appreciate that. And then we go to all these events and we make new friends with doctors from across the country. And then you still keep in touch with them because you constantly see them. So I think that I've made so many friends in so many states. I think the biggest thing that I love about Aspen is the networking and how everyone is a family. We always work as a team for everything. And then of course, the least thing is, the negative connotation that I constantly am hearing, even from patients and, people that are not, even some of my friends are like, oh, I heard Aspen was meh, and you have to deal with that, but it comes with a big name, I guess.
Yeah. And Dr. Himmel, how about you?
I think the culture. I really like how it's very patient driven. Our CEO basically created the company with the idea of his parents were blue collar, and he just wanted everyone to be treated like you're their mom, like the patient is their mom. And I think that's really why the patient satisfaction thing is big for Aspen. We really care about how the patient experience is from when they're entering the door to, when they leave. And it really puts you in a position of what they're experiencing when they're experiencing it. So it really makes you, it's kind of like eye-opening and making, and so that culture is really what I like the best. Sometimes though, and it's my favorite thing and my least favorite thing. Sometimes it's a little bit exhausting trying to please everyone because we've all had crazy patients. And so when there's just a crazy person and they're crazy, and you're trying to bend over backwards to please them, it can be exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are both great answers. Another question that just came up here, does Aspen offer any loan repayment options?
Yep, they do. It's based on state. I think Minnesota right now. They did have some in Alabama, but it is based on state. And of course, it's kind of like the military, where you'll have a commitment to the company for X amount of years.
Yeah. So like in the harder to recruit areas, there's more incentives, but the more competitive areas like, Charlotte or Boston or wherever, they're probably not going to have loan repayment options available. Okay, another question here. What was your biggest hesitation about joining Aspen? Dr. Roma, you want to take that one first?
So coming right out of school, I think my hesitation was the same concerns everyone has. Like, I'm going to be forced to do dentistry that I don't feel comfortable with. Treatment plans are not going to be mine. They're going to tell me how to run my practice. Those were some of my biggest concerns. And of course, like I said, I joined Aspen thinking it was going to be a short-term thing until I found private practice, but it was completely opposite of everything I thought it was going to be like. So here I am 5 years later, still with the company.
And then Dr. Himmel, how about you?
I think my biggest hesitation was that name. It was, oh, you're going to corporate, and they treated me well. They pay me well. I have free autonomy. Like, everything I've experienced has been pleasant. But, there's that whole, oh, you're going to corporate. And that was my biggest hesitation. But right now, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. Here's another question, and it's a common myth. Is there a production that is expected?
No.
Okay. Did you guys hear that? I know you went to Howard, you went to Georgia. Did you guys hear that amongst your schools that a production was expected?
No.
No. Okay.
At my school, yes. But like down here, I don't know what it is. They all hate Aspen.
Yeah.
Oh, especially in Georgia, I think. I've heard that before.
So, for me, like they did say, they're like, oh, well, they're going to force you at the end of the month, but you need to do this many crowns. Why haven't you done this many root canals? And it's not true. It's not true at all.
Yeah. And a question to piggyback off that is how involved is the corporation in running the business? I guess corporation means Aspen Dental Management. Dr. Himmel, do you want to take that one?
So they're pretty involved. They do all of the filing insurances, getting Henry Schein in when a chair breaks. But in terms of say I want to do a pro bono case and, for whatever reason, I want to do this person a free denture, they're not going to tell me no. I'm just going to do what I want. But that's pretty much what it comes down to. I have full control, but at the end of the day, am I calling Henry Schein to come install a new chair? No, they are.
Yeah, they're a management company, so, and there can be as involved as you'd like them for it to be as far as the management business aspect goes, but they're not going to tell you what you can and can't do clinically, so like Dr. Himmel said, if there's something that goes wrong up front, they're handling it. We're not worried about it, But if you want to be involved, you can. It's totally up to you.
Yeah, that question just came in too. It says, how involved are you in the business aspect of the practice? So if you both want to just elaborate, because I'm sure it's different for everybody. Dr. Roma, you can go ahead.
For me, I'm obviously very invested in it because it's my practice. So I am upfront, looking through insurance claims and, doing things like that and checking on my girls, making sure the reports are done and this and that, but that's because it's my practice. But is my associate worried? Heck no. He gets done, he's out the door. He don't care. But he doesn't want to be involved, I personally don't have to be involved. I can be one of those owners that are saying, listen, here's a management company I'm paying for, so they're going to handle it. But this is, for me, is my practice. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah. And Dr. Himmel, how about you?
I'm a potential owner, so I'm very much like Dr. Roma, where you know, it's my baby. Like, I was the first dentist to open this practice. I was the only one that worked there. So I want to know everything, and I want to see those upward trends. I want to know what the patients are saying. I want that feedback. And so really it's what you want. If you're the kind of person that, you know, prides themselves on their work, guaranteed you're going to be invested in the business too.
Yeah. Need some skin in the game. What are the advancement opportunities at Aspen? So we kind of went over this a little bit. So typically when you come straight out of school, you'll be an associate, and then you'll be promoted to a managing clinical director, which is an MCD. And then Dr. Himmler, do you want to kind of touch on what happens from there since you're on that path right now?
Right. So, opened that practice up a year ago. You know, they want to make sure that the practice is doing well and that they're setting you up for success. But then they, you can transition into like a POP, which is, you know, I actually don't know what the POP actually stands for.
Practice
program.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why we're called the POP.
It doesn't even make sense. I know.
But it basically means that, you know, they walk you through owning the practice, and you become pretty much a partner or a full owner. And that's really what it comes down to. And then from there, I mean, even if you didn't want to practice dentistry anymore, you could just own multiple practices, which that's my plan later down the line. Or you could even work for ADMI and be on like the learning and development team or the clinical direction team. So you have tons of opportunities.
Yeah. Dr. Roma, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No, she's got it.
Yeah. So you guys, as she said, you have the opportunity to be an owner or a partner. So you can partner with one of the owners of the practice. And that just typically works between each other in terms of how that works. But all right, we'll move on to the next question. If I start as an associate, how quickly can I become a managing clinical director?
I think we already answered that one.
Did we?
I mean,
well, I think in passing we kind of did address it. I think it's mostly depending on opportunities, I feel like, and your potential growth is, you know, if your owner sees that you are growing and they have an office that they can put you in, there's no timeline. I feel like, you know, it just, I mean, it's hard to give you a time frame.
Right. It varies from person to person. What are you enjoying about dentistry? Dr. Roma, you want to take that first?
Let me tell you what I'm not enjoying is fillings. I hate them, but you know, I am very blessed that I still really, really enjoy what I'm doing. I absolutely love dentistry. I love that now I'm placing implants because it's new and exciting for me, and hopefully I'll be doing a little bit more surgery. But I mean, dentistry is just one of those things. As a general dentist, I can do everything, so it's keeping things fresh for me. I'm doing a little bit of everything and I'm enjoying it, and I love my patients, the good ones. And you know, I'm not going to say it's all rainbows and butterflies with Aspen, because it's just like private practice. You're going to have some days where you want to rip your hair out and some days where everything is falling apart, but that's just the nature of the game, you know, like just, it is what it is. You handle it and move forward. But in general, I'm still excited about dentistry. I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dr. Himmler, what are you enjoying about dentistry?
I really love surgery. So, and I do a lot of surgery, just oral surgery in general. So I really just love that. And I also love transforming like a total mouth. So from going from zero to giving them a smile, like that's my favorite. I think that's everyone's favorite. That's why you're a dentist.
Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Himmler, you went into a residency. Dr. Roma, you didn't. This student's asking, should I go into residency? Did you feel like Aspen gave you enough support to not go into residency? So you guys can both provide your own perspective there. Dr. Roma, you want to start?
Yeah, I chose not to do residency, but I feel like with Aspen, working with the patient population, the demographics, and the mentors I've had, I didn't have a problem I don't want to do specialty. I wanted to be a general dentist. So I learned everything I need to in school, and then even more when I got out in practice, and I had the right mentors to help me and guide me. Now, if I wanted to, do implants at that time, I didn't know Aspen was going to help me through implants. I would have done a residency that focused on implants, that taught me how to do more surgery. I think that would have been beneficial for me. But at that point in my life, I was just ready to start practicing. But I did not have any issues transitioning and being able to practice.
Yeah, and Dr. Himmel, how about you?
I think it's very dependent on your clinical base in school. So I will tell you straight up, the reason why I did residency is because I had basically no oral surgery when I went to school. Like I had to do a mission to get extractions, and I did the least amount of extractions that I could, just because we didn't have a strong oral surgery department. And that's just the truth. So I knew I needed that because of surgery. And so when I went to Rutgers, it was very heavy surgery, very, very heavy surgery. And I was able to, navigate that through and then be very, very strong and fast with the residency. Do I think that I absolutely needed it? No. Did it give me more confidence? Yes.
Okay, great. This is a smart question. What mistakes have you made that we could learn from? Dr. Aroma, do you want to take one first?
Or I don't know, what do you?
It's pretty broad, so I guess you can address both. Maybe not personal mistakes. Maybe.
I haven't pulled the wrong tooth yet. That's good.
I guess just in terms of like advice, what you could have done better, more efficiently.
I think the biggest thing is just trying to be, I think sometimes I was overconfident in things. I think just making sure that dentistry is always keeping you humble, because, it's not just a filling. It's never going to be just a simple filling. You can go in there and something can go wrong. And sometimes you can go in with overconfidence, I think, and just learning to be humble at times, and really just trying to focus and learn new dentistry all the time. I think really learned that in the first few years of dentistry. And we're not going to go into the clinical things I've done wrong.
Yeah. And then Dr. Himmel.
I think just always remembering to go back to the basics. And for me, like I'll say clinical things. I've had to redo crowns because, when I sat them, I was a little bit rushed. And when we got the final radiograph, I had an open contact. So I had to explain to the patient, look, it's open, we have to redo it. And so I think the biggest thing that I can learn from that, and that I did learn from that, is just pace yourself. Do it right. Always make sure that your dentistry is up to standard. And always be honest with the patient. I mean, that's the key thing. They're going to be like, oh, okay, no big deal. But I mean, that's what it came down to.
Yeah. Transparency is always good. What do you look for when you're interviewing an associate? Dr. Roma, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, I will. And if you don't mind, can I jump off this call afterwards? My baby's crying. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you can go right now if you need to.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Good luck.
Bye.
Have a good nap later. Okay, so it's all me.
Yes. So what do you look for when you're interviewing an associate?
Okay, so really I'm just looking for a good attitude. I think that anyone's trainable as long as they have a good attitude. If, they seem a little bit lazy or just have a bad attitude, I really just don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah. Okay, next question here. This one's about more missionary work. Charity and giving back is something that is very important to me. Does Aspen provide any opportunities for that?
Yep. About twice a year, pre-COVID, of course, they send a group of dentists to all over the world. I think last year they went to Guatemala. They have a whole director, part of ADMI, that coordinates these trips. So you have to be with the company for at least a year, and then you apply. and it's not hard to get the position. It's just that you have to show that you're, motivated and want this, and it's important to you. They also have a mobile,
The mouthmobile.
a mouthmobile.
Yeah.
And so they will go around and do free dentistry. We also have the day of service, and basically the day of service, we're doing free dentistry all day for VAs, vets.
Yeah. I actually got a chance to see the mouthmobile, and it's pretty cool. And I went to Georgia, closer to Roma, and it's literally just this big RV with 2 operatories, and the local dentists in the area come by and volunteer their time, and we market it all over, news networks to tell veterans to come out, get free dental care. And I think that's awesome. The RV just travels from city to city where there's a lot of people that are not served in terms of like taking care of their mouth, their oral hygiene, and that's a great opportunity, and I think that's awesome. Another question that just came in: when should you start applying or looking for jobs if you're not planning on doing a residency?
So you should start looking, applying, and getting everything ready in February of your senior year. So you need to make sure that your boards are passed. You need to make sure that the second you get that graduation diploma, that you have everything submitted into the board, and then you can start to, talk with the recruiters. The recruiters are coming to you starting your senior year, and they're taking serious notice in you. So have everything lined up so that when you're ready, they can put everything through to the insurance companies, and that you're ready to roll, and you have maybe, 3 weeks off because you did just finish dental school, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. This is a good question for you. So in your path to becoming an owner, or soon to be an owner, how did you position yourself to get you to where you are?
I mean, really, I think it comes down to just the hard work. It comes down to what you put into everything. For me, like I said, I take pride in what I do. So every patient I treat, I want to treat them well, and I want them to go and tell their family that Aspen's great, and I want to treat my team awesome, and I want them to be excited to be at work. But I think that really that hard work and that determination, that same hard work and determination that got you into dental school, that got you through dental school, will get you through to be an owner.
Yeah. And I think the leadership mentality is such a big thing too, being able to manage people. So what hours does a new dentist work a week?
The same. It's 40 hours a week, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I was about to read one. All right. This is a financial question. How is the average salary for a new dentist in their first year? And I just want to say before you answer that, it's going to vary practice to practice because it depends on which owner you're talking to, who you're getting hired by. There's a lot of variables, but Dr. Himmler, do you want to touch on that?
So, I mean, I was an associate, so I went straight to lead, but I'm paid really well. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Like, I'm very happy.
Yeah. Okay. This is an interesting one. Have you faced any particular challenges, especially as a female dentist, in your career to becoming who you are today?
Always. I mean, when I was a little girl and I told people, well, at first I had big dreams and I wanted to be an oral surgeon. And they looked at me, and these are my dad's friends, right? And they're like, oh, a woman oral surgeon. Huh. And I don't know, for me, I'll take whoever, and if they want to say anything about me being a woman dentist, and I'll run circles around them. Actually, I do have one story because I was very pregnant. And, I had a colleague say, oh, you work, to my dental assistant, oh, you work for Dr. Himmler. She's a pregnant woman. Do you sit down a lot? And my dental assistant had my back, and she's like, I think she outproduces this office. So, I mean, you're always going to get that.
Yeah.
but you just have to own being a woman. And I own my femininity. I own who I am, and I'll run circles around the people. It's fine.
That's an awesome mentality. So this is another question addressing, I guess, a myth. I've heard that DSOs often lay off dentists that are not able to meet a production amount detailed within their individual contract. Is this true? What production
There
rate
is
is
nothing
expected?
about production in your contract, so we can say, no, that's not true, sweetie.
Yeah. And something else to add on to that is that there is no contract. There's no restrictive covenant, like meaning that you're forced to work in an office and you cannot work in any office in that radius that's in the covenant. You're more than welcome to open an office next door if you like.
Can I add one thing? Because
Go
this was
ahead.
actually really important to me when
Yeah.
I was looking at different DSOs. A lot of other DSOs will say, we will cover your base pay for 6 months. And then if you don't meet that production quota, we won't anymore. And you're just going to get production. That's not how Aspen works. I will always get my base pay. And for me, that was huge because, I mean, what if you had a bad month or you had a bad week? Like, I still was there. I still went to work. I still did my job. But if the patient doesn't show up, that's I didn't do anything wrong. And other DSOs won't pay you for that hour. But my base is always guaranteed, always. So sorry,
No. I mean, yeah, the answers are much better coming from you. So the next question here is, how often are you performing implant cases, if any?
So right now I'm still learning, but they just have, like, the biggest thing is with Aspen is they're trying to roll out all of their owners and all of their MCDs to be able to place. Right before COVID hit, we were all planning on going to Chicago and getting hands-on training, but COVID happened.
Right.
But, you know, Aspen's coming back stronger than before. And once we get a vaccine, I'm sure we're all going to be in Chicago placing and getting that hands-on training.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. What types of variations do you see in Aspen clinics with regard to the number of dentists employed at a particular
It's always
location?
either one or two. That's it.
And then it also says as well as in-house specialists.
So that's just dependent on your area. So we have an endodontist and we have an oral surgeon that come to my office, but they come to my office twice a month, both of them. And then we just have me and my associate, but they don't have more than 2 in an office.
Okay. And then the next question here is asking, I'm trying to make sure I don't reread any. How many patients do you see in an average day?
So I work well, but if I'm by myself, I'm seeing probably 25. But if I'm with my associate, I see about half that.
Okay. And how was that transition for you moving from residency to seeing that many patients?
Okay, so I was the kind of person that would time myself in residency to see how fast I could do a procedure and run multiple chairs. But that's just my personality, and that's because I knew real life, and I'd watch my dad in private practice, and he always had 3 chairs running. You have your production chair, then you have your overflow chair, which is like a bite, something that's going to take you not too long, maybe an impression, and then you have your new patient chair. And so I always saw him do that in private practice, and so I was always wanting to be better and faster.
Yeah.
So the transition for me was pretty easy, honestly.
Okay. Another good question here. Do you feel you have grown as a dentist since joining Aspen?
I do. Like, being in this profession, every day you grow. You are going to have hard days and you're going to have good days, and you're going to have cases that were slam dunked, and then you're going to have cases that you're going to have to go back to square one and troubleshoot, and that's just growth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This one is not related to dentistry, actually. Outside of dentistry, who are you? What do you like to do?
Okay, so outside of dentistry, I just recently moved to South Carolina to open this office, but I was born and raised in Colorado. I have a 5-month-old baby, and he's the cutest ever. And so I like to play with him. Sorry, I know my voice goes
No,
short
you're fine.
and sweet when I talk about my baby. But me and my husband just enjoy anything. I play hobby board games, which sounds really nerdy because it is, but that's what we really love. And I love to cook and I like to dance. And I used to run half marathons, but that was way before pregnancy. And so hopefully I can get back onto doing stuff like that.
Awesome. Okay, so this one is about dentistry. It says, can you choose which CE courses to take, such as implant or sleep apnea? And does Aspen pay for it, or does it just depend on the CE?
So they have a whole website that is designed for you to either take online courses on the CE or to do the courses with,
So I just shared my screen. If somebody does want to take CE for free, you can use that website, and it's available to everybody right now. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. But they have paid for all of my CE so far. But I think that if I wanted to do something like dermals, which is kind of elective at this point, I would probably have to pay for that.
Okay, another question here is, were you nervous during the climax of the pandemic?
I don't think that this is a fair question for me because I was on maternity leave during the climax of it. So
Okay.
I had my baby literally in the climax of it.
Yeah.
So, but when I came back, no, I wasn't, because we had all the safeguards in place. And if I was only seeing emergency patients when I came back, and we had a skeleton crew. So no, I mean, they gave me, honestly, I was more scared about people like my dad in private practice who they couldn't get N95s. And I felt bad in a little bit because, I was getting shipped N95s and I didn't have to ask. Like, they had it all sent and ready to go.
That's one massive resource that we have because Aspen is so large. We're actually Henry Schein's second largest buyer behind the US government. So the fact that we're purchasing so much from them, we have that ability to leverage costs. So all of our practices were made sure to have with at least 30 days of PPE available. Which that was another question that was asked too, if you had the proper PPE available.
I did.
Okay, great. Are all Aspen locations fully digital? Digital impressions, CEREC machines, etc.?
We don't have CEREC machines. We do digital impressions. I have Nitero. We are digital radiology, but I mean, I can still take a crown impression the old-fashioned way if I want. But yeah, so I mean, yes, but we don't have CERECs.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to be respectful of your time. I know you have a baby that you're dying to see. It's 6:58. Dr. Himmel, can't thank you enough. We really appreciate you spending some time with us to tell your story and answer some of these questions. So thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add to close?
No.
Okay.
I think they got a full representation of anything. I think that if you're hesitant about corporate dentistry, try it out. If it's not your cup of tea, okay, then we part ways, no big deal, but you might land up liking it. So
yeah, and owning a practice one day maybe. People are saying thank you. Thank you guys for letting me host this for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, aspendentalce.com/welcome. You can get free CE on there if you like. You can share it with your dad, brother, sister. Then my email is there if you guys have any questions. But other than that, everyone take care. Bye. Thanks again, Dr. Himmel.
thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.